I'm Joumana Ibrahim, as you can see. So I'm originally a graphic designer, that's what I studied, but then I specialized in London in information design. And I've been teaching information design for the past almost 4 years. And I've been actually practicing it in Lebanon, and it's very new in Lebanon. Because when I came back from London, no one knew what information design was, and I thought, okay, I did that for nothing. But then slowly it's starting to pick up. It is a trend, but the trend is too trendy. The problem is that there's a part that is called data journalism that is not being applied exactly the way it should be. So it is quite sexy, but there are also some general rules that should be applied. And I'm going to cut to the chase. Today I'm just going to show you how, if you want to create icons, how you can create icons so that they're efficient, and how you can apply those icons onto a mapping system. Because I know that in this service jam you might have to apply, you might have to work on mapping systems, maybe. So it's going to be like a very short presentation, and then we're going to do 2 exercises that are quite easy, but it really pins down the most important stuff about information design. So what's information design? So we're going to start with this question.
Yes.
Yes.
Of course.
Okay. And then we're going to go on to that question. Or as a woman, vice versa, right? Okay. So these are very simple questions, but then when there's a problem, you know the power of design. It's like when you take a flight, okay, and everything goes smoothly until you're going through bumps, and then you're like, okay, how is this engine created? Is it safe? What am I doing here, up in the sky? So information design is the same. You don't notice it until something goes wrong. But information design is something you see every day in your life, whether you're driving on the street, you're in a restaurant, you're in an airport, wherever you are, there's information design. So how to use data visualization? So information design, I like to use the word data visualization because it's really like taking data and turning it and making it accessible to an audience, right? So we have type, colors, icons, and maps. So we're going to start with type. Those are general rules. It shouldn't be too small. So you always should test your type, whether it's on the screen or it's printed out. Especially if you're doing signage systems, it's very important to test your type to make sure it's legible. It all depends on the environment, but also your target audience. The ledging technically is the space between one line and another in a paragraph. So your letters should not be jammed, obviously, and you should have enough space so that you can read easily the letters, the words. So if you're working, for example, on Illustrator, the ledging should be 120% bigger than the type size. You can do that also on Word or on PowerPoint. If your type size is 10, your ledging should be at least 12 points, right? Don't use handwritings because they're difficult to decipher sometimes. All caps and stylized fonts. I don't agree that much with all caps. Can work in some situations. Stylized fonts definitely not. يعني كل شيء هيك مزخرف, overly done. Try to avoid them. Try and avoid white on black because it's more difficult to read. Okay. Try and avoid an angle, having type on an angle, because kamena it makes it more difficult to read. And finally, don't track the type. Yani don't have too much space between the type, between the letters of the word or the letters in a sentence, because also since the negative space becomes too big, it's slow. You're slower to read. Then after type, we're going to talk about colors. Normally, especially in charts, in information design, we should not have all the rainbow colors on a map or in a chart, because then the eye gets lost. You don't know where to look first. Obviously, you're going to look at the red maybe first because it's the strongest color. So usually choose a small color palette And then let's say you go for violet and green, use the shades, so use the lightest part of the color and the darkest part, so the shades and the tints. Don't use multiple colors to represent the same kind of data. So if we're talking, for example, about unemployment, many aspects of unemployment, let's use the same set of colors because it makes sense. It's all under one theme. Use shades of one color to keep bar charts clean. Avoid thematic colors such as Christmas colors, so green and red, for example. Okay. Now we get to one of the most important things, which is the icons. So the icons should not have too many details. So this is more like an illustration, and it's very easy to mix between an illustration and an icon. So the icon should be really simplified, yet you should be able to understand it. Icons you should always test with your target audience. Don't have too many variations, and don't go, I'm sure you've seen that a lot online, don't cut icons. If you're going into percentages, then try and figure out a way not to cut your icon. Better have full icons. And when you go for one icon, let's say this is the bus that I designed, don't change features in the icon at some point. You need to be very consistent. So simplicity is the key, and well, this is what I was talking about, the quantities. This is also quite misleading, because if I remove the numbers, then I lose the, I know this is bigger than that, but I lose the percentages. So it's better to have one system, one unit مثلا is 10%, and then if I have 60%, I have 6 units. So even if I would hide the percentage, I would still be able to read the numbers. Finally, the maps. So there are 6 main guidelines. You always have to make sure that everything is clear on a map. Okay, so it needs to be very easy to read. Think about it, like before we had GPS, whenever we would travel by car, we'd unfold a map. Okay, so you want to be able to know where you're going quite easily. Think about a title. So I think all maps should have a title. Everything that's printed for sure needs to have a title. And all maps need to have a key. A key is a legend. Yani, how am I going to read this map? What is the color red in this map? What is the blue, etc. Include a scale. So all maps should have a scale. Yani, if I have a map of Lebanon, let's say, and I don't have a scale, I wouldn't know exactly what the distances are. Okay, we all know Lebanon somehow, but let's say I'm going to a new country, and I open the city map. I need to know that walking from that point to that other point in the city will take me, let's say, 30 minutes. Okay, so the scale will help me do that. Everything should be labeled horizontally. You can use arrows to point to features. There should be no abbreviations. Everything should have the main word. All maps are to be colored. Select colors to resemble the map topic. For example, blue for water, brown for soil, green for forest. Don't use blue to say forest, for example, because we all know, we all used to having blue for water, right? The color and shades used in the key should match the map exactly. So مش إنه I draw, like I use colors on the map and then suddenly the legend says something completely different. So who's the user? Who's the user? I mean, who are the users? Where are they from? What's their background, etc. So this is what you're already doing in the workshop. Audience of a particular sector, explore particular communications with that sector. So for example, for wide audiences, you might want to use social media, like for example, visualizing Palestine. And share your work, insight into the subject. So before you start working on a piece of design, make sure you have insight about your target audience and your subject. Get feedback. So whenever you, as I said, like always test your work. Get fact checks. So you don't want to design or print anything that you're not sure about the information. And finally, collect as much data as you need and share again. So this is for the presentation. This is a small text, and it has fill in the blank, but the fill in the blank is about representing the word in an icon. So just have like a very quick sketch, just for you to have an idea of how you could represent the word. And I think most of the words are quite easy, except that one that is quite challenging, which is border. So if you would like to do that, because starting from this exercise, we're going to go on to the mapping. So go ahead. You have to have a kind of a key. It's just a small key, like it's a very quick exercise. You can have as many families as you want, and you can use your icons many times, or you cannot use them at all, some of them if you want.
Three things they learned from your presentation.
Okay.
You can add on to it if you have
هون مش هون okay.
we wrap up them on some.
Okay, yeah, it makes sense. Okay, great. Okay. But I don't understand why some are red and some are black. You know what I mean? Okay, perfect. That's perfect. Then just show them in the key.
Just reclaimed. We have to find the title. Syrians are increasing the
economy.
Syrians.
New consumers.
Syrians because Lebanon's new consumers.
Okay, so you're talking about borders in terms of what?
In terms of we separate each other and
community borders.
Community borders, and we separate us like we create borders to separate us from everyone and anyone
right.
internally and externally. But I don't know how she's doing.
It's very good. And who did, like it's a family that's separated?
Yes, usually people like when we go to Beirut, we separate
from your family that's in the village, for example.
And for different reasons, whether it's like
religious or
yeah, like we shift, we have different views of life, so it's not like just geographical shift.
Okay. No, it's okay. But there's a story, that's what's interesting. Would you be able to give a title to your map? Because if you give a title, then it's complete. You know what I mean? So it would be just one word, borders, or two words, borders in Lebanon, or just something very simple. So what's your story?
It's two families living in a different part of the country.
Yeah.
And if they go visit, they will have to go with a big transportation because they go for a long time.
Okay.
And well, there's basically only one way to go there, and it's through different parts of the country.
Okay, that's cool. Can you have a legend? Just for the colors, yeah. And guys, just let's wrap up. Let's wrap up. بس حطوا legend and title of your maps, and then it's yeah, because there are really some cool stuff. Like they're fun.